Welcome to a Realtor Magazine podcast. I'm Senior Editor Wendy Cole. Joining us today from Seattle is public speaking coach Jean Hamilton, the founder of Speaking Results. Thanks for being with us, Jean.
Well, thank you, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, let's get right to it. As salespeople, real estate practitioners are judged all the time on how they present themselves and how they communicate. What are some common mistakes?
Well, one very common mistake is talking too much about yourself and not enough about your potential customer and their needs. So you want to ask questions, listen, and they're going to tell you what's important to them. I always tell people, if you think you have a thought that you're talking too much, well, then you probably are. So it's a good thing to stop, ask questions, and then listen. Also, you want to be prepared. You want to think ahead of time. Well, what's most important in this meeting or presentation? What is essential that you communicate? And get really clear on that. So take your time, and it will pay off in the end.
Well, what are the risks of a lackluster speaking style?
Well, the main risk is boring people. I mean, people will forgive nervousness. They'll forgive a lot of things. But if you don't bring them in, if you don't engage them, they'll tune out, and it's very hard to get them back. You also come across as apathetic and uninterested, like you're not interested in them, you're not interested in your work. So you need to remember it's important to be passionate. That's contagious. People want to get excited about whatever it is you're talking about, and your voice is a really great instrument that you can use to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. How would you say that giving a presentation to just one or two people differs from speaking to a larger group?
Well, when you're speaking to just one or two people, that's when it's really important to keep it very conversational, going back and forth, ask a lot of questions, make sure you're speaking to their needs, get them really involved with the conversation. But at the same time, when you're giving a group presentation, it's actually not quite as different as a lot of people think. You want to keep that conversational as well. I find often people become a little too stiff and a little too formal during a group presentation. So, it's like they become somebody other than themselves. And I'm often coaching people to relax, connect with the group so they feel more authentic. You're going to be more believable, more dynamic, and also usually funnier, too. So I often tell people, take the brakes off, have some fun with the group, and be yourself. Just make sure it's you on a really good day.
Right. But a lot of this has to do with just the quality of your voice. Are there ways that you can draw people in with the sound of your voice?
Yes, definitely. You can draw people in with your voice. First of all, you need to evaluate your voice, make sure it sounds pleasant and professional. And the best way to do that is tape yourself and then listen. And I tell people this, and they go, no, they hate the sound of their voice. But that's something that you have to get over that. If you want to improve, you really want to be able to evaluate your voice. And after you do that, there are exercises that you can do to improve your voice. They usually involve breathing, relaxing your throat, doing some humming, projecting your sounds out from the belly. Things like that will really help your voice sound both more credible, more pleasant, more professional. And there's lots of books and tapes out there to help you do that.
That's more if you're getting prepared for a big speech or presentation, though, right? Not a smaller conversation?
Even on an everyday conversation, you want to make sure your voice is, as I said, drawing people in with it. And so if you exercise that voice just for an everyday conversation, it can really help. And then you also, of course, want to think of using variety as you would in any conversation. You want to go up, go down, get louder, softer. Your voice is like an instrument, and an instrument you wouldn't play the same note over and over again. So you want to make sure you use variety in both everyday speaking and in presentation skills.
And the converse of that, what repels others in terms of people's voices?
Well, I think the main repellent is a nasal and whiny, complaining-sounding voice.
I'm almost ready to hang up right now.
That's right. I won't talk too long that way. A voice that is too breathy, too, isn't going to communicate a lot of credibility, using a whole lot of fillers, ums, and ahs that are so readily available that they start seeming like litter in the language, using words like and also ending sentences with a question sound, even when it's not a question. After a while, that can get a little tedious, using the word I too much, and, of course, being monotone. So all of those things, there's a lot of different things that don't work for the voice,
right.
And you just want to make sure you know what are your patterns that might be getting in your way, and then know that you can change those patterns.
So what do you think is overall what's worse, speaking slowly or speaking too quickly?
If you speak quickly and you're talking to someone that speaks very slowly, they're going to feel very rushed by you. They're going to feel a little overwhelmed. On the other hand, if you speak very slowly with someone that speaks very quickly, they're going to find you tedious, and they really want to get you moving along. So basically, you want to match your rate of speech to whoever you're talking to. That's a way to get greater rapport. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's really best to use variety. That if you talk too quick all the time, people will tune out, even if they speak quickly. Though I do have to say that many people will assume somebody's more intelligent if they speak quickly.
That's interesting. So what's the value of a pause, a well-placed pause? Is there an important spot for it?
It lets them think about what you're saying. And, it gives them a breather. And can you imagine, again, we're thinking about music without any pauses. So pause is really crucial. It also increases your credibility because it shows that you're relaxed enough to take a pause in there. And if you want to use any type of humor, it's essential. I mean, you should, if you watch comedians, they usually set their joke up with a pause right before the punchline.
And the role of body language in communicating. What can you tell us about that?
Well, communicating through body language is very, very important. As soon as we meet someone, we will make lots of assumptions about whether we like them, whether we trust them. We make assumptions about their level of success, of intelligence. And much of that is communicated in really a matter of seconds nonverbally. So if your body is saying one thing and your words are saying something else, people will believe your body. Mm-hmm. So it's really important that you're congruent. That means like all of you, every single part of you is saying the same thing. Then you're really believable. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of people that ask me, well, what should I do with my hands? They normally appreciate their hands, but when they get up to do a presentation, all of a sudden they feel like they're glaringly obvious and in the way. And so then they tend to keep them clasped down tightly. And if you're talking about openness or transparency, or you're wanting to create a better connection with your audience, that's not the way to do it. So with those people, I'll work with helping them get more relaxed, more trusting of themselves, and more comfortable with the whole prospect of public speaking. And the hands magically start to relax. And I encourage people to use more space when it's appropriate, just as you would in a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. I know you believe in the power, the influence of a smile when you're speaking, but for real estate professionals or working in difficult housing markets in many cases, and the news isn't that good and they may not feel like smiling, but do you think it's something that should be forced?
Well, not forced, but a genuine smile is very, very important. It will connect you to people in a way that words can't. I've always liked the quote, the closest distance between two people is laughter. But the thing is, you don't want to force it. It's got to be genuine, not a nervous smile, but a genuine smile. And so you don't want to smile when you're delivering bad news, but even in the midst of a difficult market, there's always something you can find that will bring you and whoever you're talking to joy. So as long as the smile is used appropriately, it will garner more trust in you because you're communicating that you're relaxed in your position, and that relaxation then enhances your credibility.
Interesting. So just to sum up, what would be some final tips then, since that'll improve most people's speaking skills?
Well, first of all, remember that it's not about you. When you're speaking to a group of people, it's about them. It's not about you. I've worked with a lot of people with fears of public speaking, and usually those people are thinking too much about themselves and not enough about their audience and their needs. Once they get out of their own head and into the relationship with the audience, they tend to relax. You also want to prepare, get clear on your main points, find some great stories that will integrate those points, and have some fun. Fun is really, that will sell you and your ideas very effectively. And finally, you need to practice. Use a video camera and watch the tape. And if you're really serious about taking your skills to the next level, Presentation Coach is by far and away the most effective way to do that. I've had lots of people tell me that they've had a lifelong fear of speaking, and through their work they can really let go of it and embrace a whole new level of success as a result.
And if people want to find you, what can they do?
They can go to www.speakingresults.com, and there's a lot of articles on public speaking and communication there. I also have a couple books for sale. One's an e-book about overcoming fear of public speaking. And as a gift to you for listening today, I have an article that received an award from Society of Professional Journalists. You can email me at Jean, that's Jean, at speakingresults.com, and I'll send it